Hey everybody, welcome to Behind the Brand, where we interview the top sales associates at Illustrated Properties, which means they are the top sales associates in all of Palm Beach County and Martin County here in Florida. And today we have we've actually flipped the tables because he has a podcast himself. He has a terrific story from humble beginnings to Bear Stearns, all the way to being not just one of the top sales associates in Palm Beach County, but being one of the top sales associates in all of the United States. He's sold over $500 million in luxury sales over the last 7 years. And welcome today, Billy Nash. This is kind of fun.
Thank you. So I'm so nervous.
I know you are. Well, you've never been on that side of the aisle before.
Actually, I'm not nervous. Let's go. Let's
You're
rock.
good? You're ready to rock it?
Let's rock.
You're usually asking the questions, though. This is going to be deposition style, hammering away, and you're getting ready for your trip, which is coming up, too. Tell us about your trip.
That's right. So every summer, my wife and I like to go on a journey, and it's a continuation of our luxury business, of course. And this year, we're back in Italy, but we also decided to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to spend time in Prague, Budapest, London, Slovenia, and then also in Austria.
So all over the world. You've been all over the world. You do this every summer. Where would you go if you had one choice to go? What would your location be?
Jupiter, Florida.
It's not bad, is it?
Actually, I'd like to go to Japan.
Really?
I've heard wonderful things about Japan. So that's probably on the agenda for the next couple of years. But when we plan it, it's got to be at least a month because I had some family that had went to Japan in the last 4 years and said it was incredible, incredibly clean, safe,
really
a wonderful culture, the way they respect their elders, very minimal crime, and just amazing topography. A lot of different areas, islands, blue water, fabulous cuisine. So Japan is on the agenda.
I want to see that next summer. That's going to be fun.
Done.
So talk about, we talk about living the luxury lifestyle to understand what your clients are looking for, to understand, and you can place them anywhere in Florida. They're over there. That's why you're going, right?
Yeah, because, the way I think of my business is, the luxury business is a reflection of your personality and the way you run your business. So a lot of the clients reflect, my values and what I do and how I run my practice. So it's almost like, you're matching with your clients, what their interests are, their lifestyle. And a lot of the places that we like to go and we like to dine and we like to explore, our clients are also, have the same interests.
Sure.
So in a way, when you travel, it is just an extension of your business. Mm-hmm. So you can sit with clients or potential clients and they might bring up Budapest. Yeah. And guess what? I haven't been there yet, but next fall, if they bring up Budapest, I'm sure I'll be well educated on the city.
Well, we'll tune in on Instagram as we do all the time and see the sites. And there are some sites that you'll visit this summer. It's going to be fantastic.
And a little aside, that's actually an interesting point. I have a client, friend, who followed our journeys on social media. And I didn't really know that they were following it so closely. And then they had actually called me, this is about 1.5 years ago, and said, we've been following you. We love your social media. We like your presence. And we like your style. And we want you to sell our home. And I did for $17 million.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that come from putting together, putting your personality out there, building your brand. Your brand is your personality. Your brand is powerful.
Well, and the brand that you've built and the personality that you've implemented into your business has to be, I would think, a reflection of where you came from. And you talk about that a lot. And you had humble beginnings. How did you go from? I mean, you go from Jersey, to eventually Wall Street, and then now being one of the top luxury sales associates in the United States. How does that happen?
So I've come from humble beginnings. My parents were divorced when I was very young. I grew up in a town called Long Branch, New Jersey, which is on the Jersey Shore. And my mom worked 2 jobs. At one point, we were on welfare, to be honest with you. And I was a little kid. I remember, food stamps and things like that.
Right.
So we were in a government subsidized apartment, and I was a little boy. And my mother was always great at putting mentors, people to look up to, in front of me at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And, she worked her butt off. She eventually became a nurse. And so right in the beginning, she was very good at, putting a male influence in my life, since my father wasn't around and they had gotten divorced when I was very young. So we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. My sister and I were in the same room, and I eventually graduated to the basement.
Yeah.
And from there, going through Long Branch High School, when I was in grammar school, my mother actually put me into a program called the Big Brother Big Sister program, and I have a mentor, Jack Kelly, who's been my best friend for 50 years. It's an incredible story. Actually 45 years. Jack and I have been best friends since I was 8 years old. So having male influence in your life, having mentors, having heroes really helped guide me throughout grammar school and high school. And then when I was graduating high school, all I really cared about was going surfing, girls, drinking some beers, and kind of hanging out. And I had a guidance counselor named Mr. Stevenson, and Mr. Stevenson said, "They got 2 things going for you." I said, "What's that?" He said, "One, you're poor, and I like you." I said, "What does that mean?" And he said, "Well," he said, "there's a program called the Equal Opportunity Fund, which the state has put in place, which helps inner city kids that need some academic guidance and also some financial guidance and aid to get into a public institution in the state of Florida, in the state of New Jersey." I happened to be a perfect candidate for that, and I was accepted into Stockton State University, which is now probably the #1 school in the state of New Jersey. Very hard to get into today, and I started that program right after I graduated. 2 weeks after I graduated, academic boot camp. The rest is history. Graduated with honors, and then when I graduated, I was off to Wall Street.
Yeah.
That's kind of a quick little story.
I'm sure there was some nooks and crannies and curves along the way, but you're sitting there, and you and I know how hard you work, because you and I are texting sometimes at 5:30 in the morning, and you're looking for clients. I mean, you're looking for properties for clients.
Actually, I'm just getting home, ready to go to sleep.
You're ready to go to sleep. During the week, Monday through Thursday, right?
I'm teasing.
Do you think that urgency and that background kind of drives you, during those days where because you talk about consistency a lot and doing the same thing day in and day out, and always showing up, proverbial always showing up. Do you think that your background drove that, or is it something else?
I think that that's a really good question, and if I think about it, since I was a little boy, I always wanted to prove something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you always want to prove something. You never want to have someone disappointed about the things that you might be doing. So I always had that little bit of a chip on my shoulder to always prove who I was. Right. And I think that carries throughout the rest of, where I am today, that I don't really carry the chip anymore, but my attitude is always, I'm not done yet. You know what I mean? I'm just getting started. So even today, I'm just getting started. So, that drive comes from inside. And for me, no is never, I always used to say, no is halfway to yes, right? So I just have it in my system. It's in my blood. So when I'm around people that I can help motivate or give them good guidance and or maybe be a mentor, that to me is good for the soul, and I enjoy that stuff.
Well, I think that when somebody has a big sale in our industry, they celebrate. They go on vacation, and celebration is in celebrating the wins is certainly important. But it seems that you kind of follow the mantra of next. And you continue.
Yeah, 100%. It's always about the next deal, but it's also about the relationship of the deal. Every deal has its own story. So for me, that's what made real estate exciting. It's like you're writing a book every time you take a listing, right? Something's always different. That seller's always different. The communication could be different. Yeah. The relationship is core, but there could be, a different family dynamic that you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Real estate looks and appears very easy, but it's the complete opposite. You have to be fully dedicated to this industry. Yeah. And if you're not, you're wasting time.
Yeah. There's a lot of, as you call them, PTWs, professional time wasters.
There's a lot of that in the industry.
Yeah, there absolutely is. So you did an entire podcast, which if they haven't seen it, Luxury Real Estate with Billy Nash, it's fantastic. You've done 20 episodes. Your 20th episode actually talked about a topic that we focus on, in this series right here, which is how do you win in this industry? This is a absolutely as top heavy of a business as you can possibly get, and we're seeing people falling off as it becomes more challenging, as you have to work for it, as you have to lay it all on the line for your clients. Mm. What's the difference between somebody who is in the in the top 5% of the United States versus the rest of the mill out there?
I think if anybody wants to go and listen to my podcast, it's on Spotify and it's on Apple. But I talked about, the core dedication that you need in this industry. Because for me, this is not a part-time business. Yeah. It's not a hobby. I am not practicing on you.
Right.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
And if you can appreciate that, I'm the guy that you hire, right? And I'll give you 150%. Not going to half-ass it, right? We're going to get it done.
Right.
And, here's a perfect example. I have several billionaire clients, of course, and a lot of relationships with billionaires. But I have a billionaire client that we've done multiple transactions for, maybe 50, 60 million, 70 million, not sure. But when I had originally met them, I was referred by one of the top interior decorators in Florida. This is my second year in the business, 6 years ago. And when I was talking to them in their dining room, I don't care who you are, what you do, what your background is, whatever. For me, everybody's all the same. We all put our pants on the same way and we button our shirt the same way. We put our belt on the same way. Right. I don't give a shit if you have $10 billion or $10. Right. I will treat you the same with respect.
Right.
So went through my process. And when I left, the son was listening to our presentation. Smart kid, went to enrolled in a wonderful university. And we laugh at this story today because he said to his mom and dad, he said, I don't care what you guys do, but that's the guy you got to hire. Because not only will he get the job done, yeah, but if he doesn't, he's going to double down and be really pissed off about it.
Right.
That's the guy.
Right.
And it's a funny story because we have a wonderful relationship still to this day. And we joke about that because he was actually the one that got me this, my first, not one of my first, but one of the many, $10, $15 million transactions. Yeah. So it was interesting. So, dedication, being humble, but also, I heard Robert Goodell, that's the NFL chairman. I was at a breakfast with him. He's the commissioner for the NFL. And I was at a breakfast with him in New York, and he said something that stuck. I never will forget it. I was probably about 30 years old. And he said, Billy, there's a thin line between being a pain in the ass, right? And being, excited about your business, right?
Yep.
So and you think about that, right? Passion and being a pain, there's a thin line, right? So you have to, we're passionate about what we do. Might come across like we're just obnoxiously pain in the asses, but we're excited.
Well, that's the Jersey
coming out.
The Jersey comes out a little bit, right?
Well, listen, Jersey will never come out. I still have a 732 area code.
Just don't let it come out on the Queen Mary next week when you're traveling across the Atlantic. So talk about the market for a second, because we are in we've got we could talk for about 2 hours on the on the banking crisis out there, and you've done a lot of that on your podcast. The bottom line is there's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's a lot of fogginess. What's happening? What's going on?
I think the market in general is healthy, right? We have a healthy market. The market is getting back to normalizing. It's recalibrating itself because we went through a period of 24 to 36 months that is just unsustainable.
Craziness.
You can't sustain that kind of market. And what happened was, in my opinion, is during COVID, people realized I'm not going to be sitting on the fence anymore about making a decision to purchase a second home in Florida. I thought about it last year. I thought about it for 2 years. I'm just going to pull the trigger. Yeah. So I think that really was the momentum. And then, of course, interest rates at the lowest they had been in practically history. So there was tons of capital flushing around the system. And, the market went into a buyer's frenzy. Mm-hmm. You didn't have time, to put in an offer before there was another offer being placed. Mm-hmm. So it made the industry look very easy. And it also made business difficult for a buyer because they couldn't think, right? So that is over. The frenzy is over. And we're getting back into a normal market. Do I see prices collapsing? Absolutely not. Not on the high end, not on the luxury side. But make offers. They're still negotiating to be had. Mm-hmm. You're in a better position now to sell if you're in a better position now to buy a property than you were a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I can see volume is down probably, I would bet that volume is going to be down in the state of Florida. My opinion will be, no doubt, it's going to be down at least a third, maybe a half. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it's happening. Mm-hmm. And anybody that tells you something different, what I always say is run, don't walk, away. Because there is definitely a correction happening in the marketplace. Not so much pricing,
But number of units.
But a number of units sold. I mean,
right.
so
weren't we pulling sales into 2021 and 2022 that should have been 2023?
Inventory got gobbled up. And I mean, here's a perfect example. I looked at something a couple days ago in a gated community here in the Palm Beaches for a client, and it was on for $14 million. And but the inventory in that community, there's like 14 houses for sale.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still from an inventory standpoint.
Yeah.
There's still a lack of inventory. I do think that the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates again, going against what everybody thinks. Is everybody says they're going to cut rates. Not yet. I mean, you look at some of these robust earnings that we're seeing from the retailers. There's some pullback, but I think that 2024 will be lining up for a tremendous year in the luxury real estate business.
Well, you're some of your financial guys are hammering the Fed chair right now, obviously thinking that, maybe they started too late and maybe they're going to end too late.
That's what I think.
Is that
usually they overshoot, but they can, listen, at the end of the day, they can cut them just as fast as they raised them. Yeah. So don't be, they'll come out and cut 100 basis points and the market will go up 1,000 points. You know what I mean? So, 2024, I think we'll have a great interest rate environment.
Yeah. Well, you operate in a cash market, obviously. I mean, you've done maybe one or two sales that were financed. You're operating
probably two deals
Okay.
in the last 7 years that had a mortgage.
But the question I get from real estate relationships all over the country when they see your stuff on social media, when they see the stuff that video streaming things that you've done, is do interest rates impact the luxury market and the luxury sales associate like a Billy Nash out there? Because these people they're not borrowing money, but they are impacting the rest of the economy.
I would
correct?
say that 90% of the clients will put some sort of debt on the property after it closes. And this is a way to do it, because then you don't have a bank dictating the process. We're dictating the process. We're closing when we want to close.
You can make an offer when you want to. You can respond quickly. You can close quickly.
We made an offer on something yesterday. I'm actually negotiating this morning before I walked in here. A beautiful oceanfront, and this is a very capable buyer. And we don't want he's going to put some debt on it probably, but at the end of the day, we'll close with all cash in 30 days. Yeah. Right. And then if he wants to borrow against his bond portfolio or do some sort of leverage on it, afterwards and wait for rates to come down, he probably will do that. Well, but psychologically, I don't care how wealthy you are. There's always a psychological thing about markets that have uncertainty. Yeah. I don't care how much you have. They will always pull back. Right. Even Warren Buffett will pull back.
Right. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. I guess that's.
And when the tide goes out, you see who's got their pants down.
Yeah. And there's a few people with their pants down right now.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. We appreciate your sales, but we also appreciate your passion and the branding and everything that you've built. And we appreciate your all-inness. That's an Alabama word, but it's an absolute a real word when describing Billy Nash, and we really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate it. Nash.Billy on Instagram and Billy Nash on Facebook. You can see all the stuff that we're up to.
Have a great trip.
Thank you.